Excellent. Okay, so we're going to talk about blue and gold names. Did you guys, I don't think anybody was here for January, right? We discussed blue and gold banquets and ceremonies last in January this year. I moved it up to December because January is a little too late. By that time, you guys should be planning blue and golds and things like that.
Blue and gold is February, right?
February, yes. So, if anybody's new and is not familiar with it, blue and gold is literally the birthday party for Cub Scouts and scouting in general. Boy Scouts of America was founded on February 8th, 1910. 20 years later, I can't remember the exact date, Cub Scouting was founded as a program. So what we do is we throw a birthday party every year. Oftentimes the blue and gold will take the place of our February PAC meeting. Not necessarily always, but it can. And it's not necessarily on the same date or time or location as we would have a regular PAC meeting. It can be, or it could be at a different date or time. It's a great idea to invite former members, community leaders, your charter org representative, your executive officer, your charter org rep, other friends of the unit. If you have people that are living down the street who, you know, their kids graduated from your PAC 20 years ago, send them an invite. This year we're going to invite, just as an example, our charter organization head. If you're an LDS unit, it's been mentioned that it's a great idea to invite your bishop. Just send the invite, let them know they're welcome to come and see what the Cub Scouts are doing. We're going to invite we're going to invite the mayor, actually, just for fun, and our executive officer and the principal of our school. We're chartered by the PTO of the school. Just to let them know that we're here, we're doing good things, and they can come and celebrate with us. I like to think of blue and gold as dinner and a show primarily. And another way to look at it is, if you guys have been to a really good scout campfire, where you have different dens or patrols if you're with Boy Scouts, and they come up and they do a skit, and there's a song, and there's a run-on that goes through. You've been to camp and you've seen a great one. It's like that, without the campfire, with food. That's the goal here. It should appeal to youth and adults. You could have younger siblings, babies. That's kind of hard sometimes. We had a newborn last year at ours, and it was a little challenging, but you go with it. All the way to grandma and grandpa. And something that's appropriate for everybody. Songs, skits, stunts, awards, whatever works for you. Some groups bring in outside entertainment, magicians, jugglers, juggling unicyclists, other performers, whatever you think is of interest to your crowd, to your scouts, to your families. Do a video, do a slideshow, some kind of a presentation like that. What has the PAC done over the past year? What has the PAC done over the past 30 years? Do you have photos from years past? Can you do a time-lapse thing? That'd be hilarious. Every blue and gold needs a master of ceremonies, along with sort of a script of what's going to happen and when. Skit now, song next, presentation. Oftentimes, the master of ceremonies is the Cub Master. It doesn't have to be the Cub Master. If you have a den leader who's awesome and loves to get up and ham it up, that's great. But they're up there to just coordinate the activities. Maybe they have a bit or two, but it's really just to tie everything together. Planning is the key. Now is the time to start if you haven't already. Form a committee. Make sure the committee has a head, a chair. Determine a theme. Your theme could be February's theme, which is, I think I wrote it down somewhere. We'll have it next month. I think it's friendly, is the point of the scout law. Delegate those responsibilities. Who's in charge of the cake? Who's in charge of the food? Who's in charge of the drinks? Who's in charge of the tables and the chairs, the place settings? All these details. Where are we going to have this? And make a detailed plan. Make sure you have a calendar in place. Make sure you know when things need to be done. If you're going to present like trophies, make sure you don't leave that for the very last week, because it takes the trophy guys at Crown Trophy a little while to get those things done. I was there today, by the way. Have an agenda. Print up a little form, like you're going to a concert. Oh yeah, what's the next skit coming up? Just an idea. What type of meal are you going to have? I love when I go and see a great set of dishes created by all different people. Every blue and gold I've ever been to, I think this is the 6th or 7th one I've gone to this year, has been a potluck dinner. It's great because every family can be told, bring enough food for your family that you're bringing plus one, and then everyone gets to share, and you know that you can have something to eat that you would like because you're bringing it. You're not going to have to put up with, something you don't like. But it doesn't have to be potluck. You can have it catered if you want. You can have some kind of pack-funded thing and have somebody cook the whole thing. Last time I presented, there was an interesting pack that said, I forget who it was, she said that they reverse it, where they have the pack buy all the food, and then the families bring dessert, potluck style, which is a lot of dessert. Do whatever works for you is the point, right? Also, figure out how is the pack going to pay for that. You're going to fit that into your pack budget? Are you going to get family donations? Or are you going to have a fee at the door? I don't know, you could do that, or some kind of corporate sponsorship. An important thing is to have a really good idea, even if it's a rough estimate, of how many humans you're going to have for seating. Tables, chairs, place settings, napkins, forks, spoons, knives, cups, the whole bit. If you can get RSVPs, that's great. If you can just get a rough head count, that's not bad. Decorations, invitations, printed programs, all that stuff. Like I said, most units that I know do a potluck style dinner. That's not necessarily required. Followed by a big cake. I'm sorry, but there is not a blue and gold that's complete in this world without a cake. There's got to be a cake. It can be homemade, it can be store-bought, you can do Beaverton Bakery, yes. And
we always have the boys make cakes.
That's awesome.
It used to be called father and son cakes, but now we call it parent and son.
Okay, that's excellent. Get those scouts involved, right?
Yeah. They love it. They
there you go.
Great cakes.
That's an excellent example of do what works for you. I think my pack might, I don't know. It's a neat idea though. It can be homemade, store-bought, Beaverton Bakery, boutique, Safeway, doesn't matter. Do what your unit prefers, and your leadership can have an idea of what your family's like and what sort of thing you should be looking at. Unique and original cake designs can be fun, make it special, make it memorable. I've got a few examples of cakes. I love this one. You've got all the different ranks around the different things. It's just greatly decorated. A sheet cake in the shape of a Cub Scout uniform. Of course, now we don't use these, but you can get creative, do the outdoor activity award badge if you've got somebody who can really do frosting. This is how I make cake on a pizza pan. But look at the detail of the frosting. They did the campfire at the top and the arrow of light. I love it. Incorporating all the different ranks that are in your unit. Having something that's blue and gold colored is cool. One sheet cake for each different den or each different patrol. Just different ideas. So once you have that in place, don't forget to make your space exciting. Decorate the tables, the chairs, put up streamers, balloons, place settings, centerpieces. I've got some examples of centerpieces. I love this picture here. Look at without all the stuff on it. It's just sort of a social hall. It's just tables and chairs, but as soon as they put down the tablecloths, the placemats, look, they've got settings for which den is going to sit where, which rank. They've got balloons and streamers. All of a sudden, it's very festive. Eventually, you take all that down, it's rather boring with fans up here. Just don't turn the fans on. I like this. This is a great budget example. These at the dollar store are $1. I guarantee you, I've got a swath in my house. You've got paper placemats, paper napkins, plastic utensils, and solo cups. It doesn't matter, Scouts don't care. Your parents are going to be okay with it. It's a budget thing. And you've got a really cute centerpiece that somehow relates. I like the campfire theme. Everybody can kind of huddle around the campfire. And again, it's a gym, and they've gussied it up. You can't hide the fact it's a gym, but you can at least make it fun and different. Make it your own. Angry Birds. We're going to do Minecraft this year. Our Scouts are really into Minecraft. Everything's going to be square and geometric, I hear. Make it interesting, make it different. Talking about centerpieces, I'll give you guys a few examples. This is one that I think a person who's a decent carpenter could probably whip together in about maybe an hour. Because I think these are stickers or something glued on. You got dowels, you got drill bit things. This is something that our Tiger Den did. This is 2 years ago. In our theme, we had two themes. We had courage and responsible. And the gal who was I'll go ahead and pass this around, was coordinating this, made a stencil, so we had a fleur-de-lis. And the Scouts were supposed to write an experience that they had where they had to be courageous and they had to be responsible. And then we put it in a mason's jar and put some stuff in it, and boom, it's a centerpiece. Another one we did last year, I forget what our theme was last year, but we decided, oh, I remember what it was. Our wolf den leader found these. I got a bunch of wax in it. I believe it was at a garage sale for 50 cents each. So she got a whole box of them. And they're just tea light candle holder things. So if you find something opportunistically like that, and you can think, oh, hey, I could use that, grab it and stash it.
Here are our ideas. So we have a wolf den leader as well as big assistant.
Right.
Professor. We're doing recyclables for our thing. So we have to make a centerpiece or something. So we're going to do that. We're going to save up tin cans the next month.
Nice.
And then put a piece of wood in it and use nails to make patterns. We're gonna make some stencils to make
Okay.
fleur-de-lis and things.
In the can.
And then drop in a little LED tea light.
Yeah.
100 of these little tea lights.
You have this
And so
design
then,
coming
we'll
out.
have several per table because they're not, a can is not very big, but we'll have all these ones so each scout gets to make 4 or 5.
Exactly.
Because we got 10 guys in our thing, so we figure each table has 3, so everyone makes 4 or 5 of them.
That's fantastic.
And then we add a recycling centerpiece that we have to, that's part of our requirement. For
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And one of the funnest I made, and I've done this quite a few years, is get a balloon and make a paper mache Cub Scout head. And you just use like a cereal box to make the cap.
Okay.
And so it takes you about 3 den meetings.
Okay.
And don't store it in your cold garage because the balloons collapse in the
Right.
cold.
Okay.
So you have to keep it in your house between meetings. But
Are you familiar with candy and dust?
no, we just have it
Okay.
just a
Just
head.
an
and
effigy of a Cub
and then
Scout.
we just do a blue circle for like
Yeah.
this first of their shirt that
Okay.
it sits on,
Okay.
kind of thing. And they just make these balloon heads, and they have so much fun painting it. We just use flour and water.
Yeah.
No kidding. We don't use
Yeah.
any kind of glue, and lots of newspaper, and just do it around. And then
That's really
and then they
cool.
paint their hair, and
Mhm.
they paint their baseball cap on there, and
Nice.
and they have a great time to do it. It's pretty messy.
Yeah.
We'll do it in the
So you probably put down a piece of big tarp or something to catch it.
use the
Yeah.
kitchen,
Yes.
church, but still, but it works out really fun, and they
Very
look
cool.
great. They're really fun to do, but it does
Excellent.
take about 3 den meetings. to
So
do
yeah,
that.
so fourth. So again, doing that in January makes sense. So
Yeah.
everything's ready, starting in January, right?
Right.
So yeah, excellent. Another example similar to what I just told you about, and I think these are edible. Cookies on a stick in a mason jar, decorated up. You can see how there are different ones for different ranks, different dens. Any other suggestions or examples of centerpieces? Those are a few. Google is your friend, Pinterest is your friend. There's a whole swath of links at the end. Lots of things you can do. If you're doing a Friends of Scouting presentation, most of our community units do, most of us at Blue and Gold. Do not put your Friends of Scouting presentation between the people and their food. Eat first, and then when everyone's settled and everyone's had their dinner, then make your pitch. Try to strike a balance between brevity and verbosity. I like mine to be somewhere between 8 and 15 minutes. I make my point, I get in there, I talk about why this is important, and I get those cards out, and I'm done, we move on to the next thing. Don't make it the focal point of the whole thing. Make it this is what we're doing, we need your help. It's a good idea to do it, I think, on one hand, at Blue and Gold, because grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle might be there. I talk to people at University of Scouting that do it at Blue and Gold because they have all their rank advancements at Blue and Gold. And so everybody shows up for that, and it works for them. If you don't,
Rank advancements, if they're starting in September.
right, so on the community unit, we start in September, and they push them all the way until, so they try to get everyone done by February, which to me, especially for the new program, that's nuts. But most of them started in June, actually. We roll over for community units June 1st, and we go to camp, and they can count that stuff, and the gal I was talking to actually had one or maybe 2 den meetings June, July, August. So she was already rolling. You guys in the LDS units, totally different gig with the rolling conveyor belt. People are at the Blue and Gold because they're at the Blue and Gold. So it doesn't
We still do advancements though.
Yeah,
because
as they happen.
we have the boys get
Action.
advancements, so we do awards at that.
Okay.
I just thought, boy, the other events.
Oh, I know.
From September.
And you're gonna be there for hours because you have dinner and the show and then FOS if you're a community and then all these advancements. And it's gonna be, and it's one of the reasons that my PAC this year actually decided to also have a PAC meeting in February just to do the advancements and that stuff. Because last year we thought the advancements and the award were just taking too long. So literally we stripped it down to dinner and a show and FOS for us. And we're gonna see if it works. We're gonna do ours on a Friday. We'll see if it works. Try it. Try something different. See what works for you. What's next? Come on, clicker. Okay. Any other thoughts about blue and gold? Yeah.
So we've tried, we buy our food for the dinner, and we tried like lasagna and stuff like that, and
Okay.
boys, you know what they really prefer is Costco pizzas, mostly just plain cheese pizza
Okay.
and salad, and that works out really, really well. We have a gluten-free pizza, but it doesn't sound plain, but the boys eat every bit of it. And where if we have too fancy stuff, a lot of the kids are picky eaters nowadays, and it's their party, so
That's true.
we provide food that they like.
I found, it seems like everyone I've been to, somebody brings a box of fried chicken, somebody brings a pizza. I love making lasagna from scratch, and I bring that, and everything in between, and that's kind of great to have that diversity. But if pizza works for you,
You found it was nice and easy.
go for it. Yeah. Sometimes,
An idea that February is Chinese New Year, and so we had a blue and gold a few years back, a different in Arizona. We did Chinese New Year theme, and it
Cool.
was so fun, and we served rice and noodles and egg rolls from Costco.
and the neat part about that is you can integrate awareness of other cultures.
Yeah,
Right?
we made it kind of international.
Yeah.
We had lucky chocolate cones for them all.
That's really cool. I like that.
For their-
It's a totally different twist.
It was when we went to a Chinese restaurant and got their horoscope placement.
Yes.
And they gave us a whole bunch. We're like, awesome.
That's really
I got
cool.
a free placement. The kids had a great time, so it was a good occasion.
Very nice.
We don't do it every year. Every once in a while.
Okay, so that's my pitch about blue and gold. I hope, there are a lot of links at the end of this. There aren't a lot of handouts on the Google Drive, but again, Pinterest is your friend, Google is your friend. If you don't have a theme, if you don't have ideas. Let's talk about ceremonies. There are 3 primary ceremonies in Cub Scouting. And for us in the community side, we see a couple of these in January, February timeframe. One of them we see usually earlier is Bobcat. So we have Bobcat, Arrow of Light, and Crossover, are 3 primary, really beyond just here's a wedge for going to OMSI kind of ceremony. Most of you are probably aware of the face painting one, right? You guys use this?
Yeah, we do.
It's very common. I think every Bobcat ceremony I've ever been has the 4-color face paint thing. My suggestion, and I don't know if you guys have found this, is some Cub Scouts don't really like having their face painted. Warn the parents so they can warn their scout. Guess what, Bobby? You're going to have a little bit of paint on your face for 20 minutes.
We actually gave our guys, we have some guys who are not going to do that, but
Okay.
we just made a mark. They said, okay, on the arm. So we made
Okay.
a mark on each color on the arm.
Okay.
And that was fine. It was just not the face. We're like, okay, not the face.
And you just change your script a little bit to say,
Well, we
this
just-
color means this
We
color
just
means
say the color, yeah,
Yeah.
the means, and and then he just knew that we're just making the stripe for him, because that's what he wanted. And then as we go through the color field, one of each of the leaders are do it while the scout
Oh,
master.
so each leader gets assigned a color.
So yeah, so
And they go
basically
down
we
the
sit
line.
there behind all the leaders, all the 10
Okay.
leaders are behind, and they go by, and the scoutmaster is reading them off, and we go down the line, and each scout, we do this, so I had the paw print, and we do the
Yeah.
paw print for each one, and you
Yeah.
just go down the line, and you have all the scouts there, so it was a nice way to do it, it's kind of
Yeah.
an assembly line, and each of the leaders is participating of the pack, it was a nice way to do it.
Cool. One thing I wanted to bring up is that there's a tradition in years past to flip the Bobcat upside down, put the patch on him right side up, so you flip him over, it's upside down. And then this whole thing is, when he does a good turn, you can turn it around and sew it on. Don't do that.
That's
Don't
okay.
do the flipping the kid upside down. You can do the putting the thing on upside down with a paper clip, but aside from safety issues, that can be construed as hazing. And there is no hazing in Boy Scouts of America.
That's funny, because
It's
I had
just-
that. When I was a Cub Scout, we did that.
We didn't when I was, but I've heard a lot of that, and
We used to do it all the time.
I would recommend that you
Yeah.
just issue that. Yes, go.
The sergeant master now, he has the parents raise their hand and give an oath about how they're gonna support their Bobcat.
Oh, like
Because
that.
they're
Okay.
in the pack. And
Nice.
says, you know, I'm gonna help them do it. And he has this whole little spiel that he gives them, and sometimes he adds some funny things to it. Particularly if he knows the parents well, you know,
Yeah.
like, you know, kind of thing, but that's worked out really well, but we just, usually our Bobcats, well, they're all coming into my den, so they all
Right.
have their Bobcats.
So you know all of them.
So they come in the first den meeting, or first pack meeting, come to, they earn their Bobcat.
Excellent, yeah.
And so we welcome them to the pack, and they get their badge, and parents come up, and everyone gets to meet who they are.
And they get to do the all support my.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Bobcat is. You're welcoming these scouts, whoever they are, wherever they're from. If they came in as an 8th grader, as an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, whatever, you're welcoming them into the pack. And that's the whole point. Again, for me, flipping a scout upside down isn't very welcoming. Do what you will. It's just my suggestion. So that's the beginning of the trail down the Cub Scout path. Arrow of Light is the culmination of that. A lot of our traditional units have their Arrow of Light on or around blue and gold. Again, for LDS units, it's going to be throughout the entire year probably. So hopefully you guys can get some good ideas to mix it up as you go. I've got at least 3 different Arrow of Light ceremonies on the Google Drive for you to take and choose from. They're all very different. The timing of the word obviously depends on if your scouts are ready to go and if they've accomplished that. I know if they don't get there, they move on to the next thing. It is the highest award earned in Cub Scouting. Still is the case, even though a scout now can join as a 5th grader and go straight to Arrow of Light in our new advanced program. It is still considered the highest award. It's the hardest thing to earn, essentially. It's one of the few Cub Scout badges that can be worn as a Boy Scout and also as an adult leader. We've got a few of us in the room that have done that. Most often it's awarded in a very similar manner to all of our other rank advancements. It's kind of a solid ceremony, usually with the Cub Master, the parents or guardians or grandparents, whoever's supporting the scout, come up with them to be part of the proceedings. With the Arrow of Light, it's a good idea to snazz it up a little bit, to add something. There are lots of different ceremonies found. Again, Pinterest, Google are your friends here. I'm going to go over a couple. One of the most common is the 7 candle ceremony, if you guys are familiar with that. If you meet in a place that does not allow open flames, there are a lot of options with LED bulbs, lights, Christmas lights, whatever. You can substitute anything that lights up. And with the script, you have 7 different virtues that you light the candle or illuminate the bulb or whatever as you read about the virtue. This is, I think, one of the 2 that I've seen as the Arrow of Light ceremony. Another example of that 7 candles thing. You guys seen this one before? Okay. It's a good one. It's meaningful for the scouts. It's a culmination. There are others. Again, I've got handouts on there's this really simple one, just without the candles. Go ahead and take those and read them over and see what you like. Take what you like out of them. The important thing about Arrow of Light is that this is the culmination of 2, 3, maybe 4.5 years as a Cub Scout for somebody who started as a Tiger, for instance, in a community unit. Make it memorable for them. This is the end of their role, and they're finishing up something they started a long time ago. And for a scout that's 10 years old, 3 years is a long time. It's a big deal. It's a big part of their life. In some districts, the Order of the Arrow will do Arrow of Light ceremonies for us. Unfortunately, our OA chapter does not have the manpower. I can tell you they do a great job, but their boys have homework and sports and other things, and they can't do Arrow of Light ceremonies for 126 different units. So this is up to us as unit leaders to figure out how we're going to do this. And it doesn't necessarily take a lot of effort. It's a matter of finding the script that you like and making sure you have the materials that you need. Often, a crossover ceremony will immediately follow the Arrow of Light ceremony because once they earn their Arrow of Light, they are eligible to join Boy Scouts per BSA regulations. So that's Arrow of Light. Arrow of Light is looking back at where this scout has been, the trail that they have walked, the things that they have done. And when you turn around and do a crossover ceremony to transition them into Boy Scouts, the ceremony should be about looking forward, looking ahead to the next thing. It's a complete 180-degree shift. What is that trail ahead? Basically, like I said, when a scout is earned the Arrow of Light, they're ready to join a Boy Scout troop. With the exception of, they can stick around for a while. We invite our Arrow of Light scouts to come back to Blue and Gold, to Pinewood Derby, to something like that, but they should be moving forward, especially if they turn 11, to go on to Boy Scouts, go on to the 11-year-old in the LDS unit. It's meant to be a symbolic journey from Cub Scouts into Boy Scouts. There's the official script from BSA National of when youth is ready to join Boy Scouts. That's what they say. Usually for this, a bridge is somehow a focal point. A couple of examples of bridges. They can be, this is a pretty big one, and they're putting down their planks. Pretty simple, it could be more of a slope bridge. This one looks like it might fold up and fit in a truck. I like this one because it has the points of the Scout Law written or etched on each plank, so the Scouts get to walk over that. Sorry about the quality of this one, but this is even more involved. It gives you an idea of a very big packed sign, candles, and the fleur-de-lis. Again, very symbolic. And this is a much simpler example, a couple of platforms with some rope. You can see your Cub Scout leaders here making sure everything's ready. Notice your Boy Scouts are over here huddling, talking about, okay, this is how we're going to do this. This is our script. It's one of the points I want to make to you is that unlike the Blue and Gold ceremony, I'm sorry, why is Blue and Gold there? Unlike the Arrow of Light ceremony, where it's just you and your pack presenting an award, a rank to the Scout, crossover requires us to coordinate with at least one other group, the troop or troops that your Scouts are rolling into. Some districts, again, the Order of the Arrow will do crossover ceremonies. Same story here. They don't have the manpower, so it's up to us. In lieu of an OA team, which they do a great job, most of the troops out there, especially for community units, I'm not sure about the LDS units, but I know community units usually have a couple of OA scouts that are probably part of, or at least are aware of the scripts, aware of the characters, aware of how to do it correctly. You can work with that troop and see if they can actually help you and do a neat ceremony. Communicate with that troop and say, we'd like to do something special this time. Can you send over some of your older scouts, some of your OA members, and do a thing? Remember that crossover is the end of an era. Make a big deal out of it because it's an important milestone. It's a big shift. I remember when I was a Cub Scout, where I come from, elementary school is K through 5, and we rolled over to Cub Scouts, from Cub Scouts to Boy Scouts at the end of 5th grade in June. So for me, it was you're finishing Cub Scouts, you're finishing elementary school and going to middle school, and it was kind of stressful. Remember that. For these boys, they don't really know what they're getting into going into Boy Scouts. It's a big change, it's a big deal. Make a big deal out of it, and celebrate where they've been. Focus on that road ahead that they're going to, but celebrate where they've come from. One of the things I think, it's next, I think. A couple of resources for you guys. New version of the Ceremonies for Dens and Packs is out. It tailors in with the leader guide and all the other things that just came out about 5 months ago or so. It's available at the Scout store down at the Norwest Scout Shop. It's also available online at scoutstuff.org. It's $10. I don't know, I'll start with this. There is an older version. I don't know if they just took the cover off and put a new cover on. I can't speak to it because I haven't analyzed it. But the stuff in here is still very valid, and there may be things where the ceremonies, the script would need to be tweaked a little bit based on our new advancement, the Scout Law instead of the Law and Pack and things like that. You can find this one for free. So the price is right. Go through that first, see if you like it, or just head down and pick one up for $10. Swath of resources, back to Blue and Gold Banquets. As I said, Pinterest is your friend, Google is your friend. There's whole kinds of just lists and lists of ideas, themes, centerpieces, decorations. Arrow of Light ceremony, here's a list of, there's 4 different ones here. I've got at least 3 nicely formatted, hopefully, for you guys in the Google Drive. One point I want to make, if you're out there Google searching for Arrow of Light ceremony, be careful. If you see stuff where there are Native American characters, Witsahem Wipamoptindink, and I forget the other one, That is intended for OA chapters or OA members to perform. It strikes me as odd when I see a Cub Master who's not an OA member doing that. Now, if you have a troop coming in to do this for you or something like that, that's great. Just kind of realize that. Same thing with crossover. If you see those Native American characters, Medicine Man's a good key off too. Lots of different crossover ceremonies to choose from. 4 Wings is a good one. The simple one is really straightforward. For those of you who do this on a regular basis every 2 or 3 months, get a collection and rotate. See what you like. For those of us who do it once a year, every year you can go through and look and see what you like and see what's interesting this year. We don't have to worry as much about keeping it fresh and new. So everyone's struggle is different, I guess. So I have 2 of these nicely formatted for you on the Google Drive. Yes,
One
Ann.
thing's nice, our Cub Master, he does a picture thing of the boy. So he gets
Oh.
pictures from the boy from when he first started, scouts all the way through.
That's
Then
cool.
he has a narration going on. I must admit, I don't pay too much attention to the narration because the pictures are so much fun to watch.
Right.
But most parents have pictures of their boy all the way through scouting. And so they just give him the stuff and he does this nice, thing that he's got his,
So I ended up gathering up, I have a folder that I'm gathering up with pictures of all my scouts.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the leader, we follow, our thing, we follow along with our scouts,
So that's
the
what he's
leader
saying.
does.
He puts all those in and funny ones, like we just had a boy that is always doing funny faces. And it was just hilarious to watch it, it was
Right.
fun to watch him growing up because you have him from 8 years old until.
And 3 years is actually a long time.
It
You
is,
grow a lot.
yeah.
We actually did something very, very similar in my Eagle Scout Court of Honor. My friend and I did a Court of Honor together, and we started at Cub Scouts age 8 as wolves back when it was a 3-year program, and we did the exact same thing. We had a slideshow, and our Scoutmaster basically narrated it because he'd known us. He was our Cub Master and was our Scoutmaster for a while, and it was just it was extraordinarily meaningful,
Yeah.
right? And that's what you're trying to hit. That's an excellent point. To when you do this crossover.
And he doesn't seem, I don't know exactly how he does, how much time it takes, to do it for each boy, but we
Yeah.
have a separate one for each boy, so, he might be doing 8 in a year, but
Well, he's probably farming out the,
he probably has the same thing.
getting the pictures from the family, right?
Right. So,
And
and
then-
then he seems to say, probably about the same thing for, each one, like first he was a, Bobcat.
Right.
Or,
Although each one's probably gonna have some little
Yeah.
funny detail, and
And-
maybe mom and dad has a funny story to tell about who knows what, right?
So, but I don't know how many hours he's doing,
Yeah.
to get those together, but it doesn't seem to take him too long, they can get the pair, they can get it,
Yeah,
like Tuesday, Sunday night, and he has it ready by Wednesday night, so.
that's pretty cool.
And it's pretty
That's
fun,
dedication right there.
pretty fun.
Any other thoughts about ceremonies, things you guys have done?
So you're, the bringing up that the OA usually does the community ones. We have the pack, is, there's a troop 592, and they did a whole ceremony we did that back-to-back thing where we're in the one room for the thing, and we move over, and then the scouts have that whole script. They do.
Yes.
So we've kept with that same theme to
Okay.
keep the theme together like that.
Good. And as long as they're willing to do that and they're ready.
Yes.
592 is a pretty substantial troop, and they're
Yes,
very
they've
healthy.
been around for a long time.
And some of the troops that we've sent our scouts to have been a little anemic, and it's hard to muster
So
something.
they had full Indian costumes,
Yes.
the whole
Excellent.
thing, so it was,
Yeah.
it was pretty, because mine was the first year back in Scouts last year. So
Okay,
it was
you're right.
impressive to see as with new eyes.
Yeah, I actually last year thought that the OA was willing to do this, and I asked the lodge advisor, or the chapter advisor, "Hey, can you do my crossover?" And sure. And then they came back and said, "Well, we'll do yours, but we have to not because," and they did an amazing job. I have a video of it somewhere, and I wish that they could come and do everybody's, but they can't. And so it's great that for those of us who have that resource.